Whisper. My Whisper won the last.
Welcome, punters, to another episode of the Whispers Racing Podcast. Memsie Stakes Week and Group 1 racing. How fucking good. Welcome, Matty. How are you?
We're in spring.
Yes.
Officially here.
Yep.
Oh, we've been waiting all winter for this.
Oh, yeah, and fuck, have we got a Group 1 race to kick it off, mate? I can't wait. It's going to be a ripper.
It is an absolute ripper. And then a few group races up in Sydney as well, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, bloody oath. It's can't wait. Actually, the good races are back, and we get to see some bloody good horses on the TV or live in the flesh.
Yeah, on the weekend we will be there with a few of the community members out at Caulfield. So if anyone's around and spots us, come and say hi.
Yeah, come and say hi because we won't be gambling responsibly. That is for sure, especially when the alcohol kicks in. But no, it'd be good to go and have a crack at having a bet and a drink and catching up with a few of the boys. This week we're going to preview on the podcast Randwick Race 5, and I'm going to preview the Memsie Stake. I think it's a big race. I think we can talk about it, deep dive into it, and yeah, there'll be a few angles. Bets around the grounds, multi. Yes, I let us down with the footy bet on Sunday. We missed by 7 points, which is shattering the so we'll have a crack again at the multi for 3 out of 4 as always, and the pineapple of the week. Matty, missed.
Yes, definitely missed there. Like in that race, they ran a little bit too hard considering that a Derby nominated horse got over the line in a 1,300 metre race. So yeah, Calibus, no good there. I think finished about second last. So yeah, we'll hand that one over and we'll get it going again for this weekend, Worm.
Yep. We'll go again and we'll try and get it back on track. Those days happen, unfortunately, and yeah, there's not much you can do with it, especially when there's 200 to go and they need life support. You can't do anything, but you can't even yell at the screen for a bad ride.
Mate, 200 to go in a 1,300 metre race, and they've called for the ambulance.
I put out the ambulance siren. I started, but nah, it happens, and we'll kick on and we'll find plenty of winners. We did find plenty of winners on last week's podcast, so it wasn't just one stink up. It was plenty of winners to go around. So
absolutely,
your pockets up.
Indeed. What was yours, Danny in Melbourne?
Yeah, Hennessy Lad and Omni Man. He called for the ambulance as well.
He did, yeah. Now, One Glass Bay was a good run. Finally got there. Good to see. And Marquise, the James Cummins horse, came off a Warwick Farm win and got it done in the city, which was good to see as well. I think that'll be one to follow.
Yeah, 100%. Community had a good Saturday. We won I think 6 to 7 units. So leads us in, guys. If you are a first-time watcher or listener, please subscribe to our YouTube or podcast platform. Because we do everything for free, no hidden paywalls. We just want you to rate us on Spotify, just so we can lift our listener base and find more winners for people. We just want to grow it. As I said, no paywalls. We do it for the love of it. So please subscribe to our podcast, rate it, and thank you to all the kind words people put out there each and every week on socials, YouTube, whatever it is. It doesn't go unnoticed. I try to get back to them, but yeah, it's quite hard to. But we say thank you. If you want to be part of the Whispers WhatsApp group, please DM me in any of the socials and we'll put you straight through. We have been going for 8 months this year, of course, and we've won 7 of the months. So I think we're up 40 odd units for the year. So if you want to be part of it, it's all free. You get my thoughts, Maddie's thoughts. You can even have your thoughts. And that's the best part of it. It's not just one person. It's everyone.
Good to see one of the community members today who puts on a lunchtime quaddie. Just a small one, a couple of dollars here and there. He mentioned to the community today he finally got one up. So well done to him.
Yeah, that's it. And you don't have to be a big punter to come in. You can be a small punter. It doesn't matter what your size is. It's just a bit of fun in the end. So share your thoughts or just sit in the background and just back plenty of winners that we provide and have a laugh along the way with some of our language that we use on some ripper rides and bad rides. But it'll be definitely heating up this spring. So please, if you want to get involved, feel free. Talking points, Matty. I think there's only one real talking point from yesterday, and that's Ollie announcing his retirement. Finishes up in December in Perth, where it all began. So I think it's quite fitting that he's doing this. He's walking away on his own terms, which is another good sign. And yeah, he's probably the greatest we've seen so far.
Absolutely. Growing up watching the races, he was the first jockey that I ever really watched. So for him to, as you mentioned, go at it on his own terms, get another spring for all his fans to say goodbye and head across to Perth and finish it up over there. I think it's absolutely magnificent. So hats off, Ollie. Well done.
Yeah, body oath, mate. Some people will say the GOAT, some people won't, and that's fine. But to 128 group wins, 11 Scobie Beasley medals, which is the Brownlow of jockeys. So he's won 7 VRC Oaks, 6 VRC Derbies, 6 Sir Rupert Clarks, 5,000 Guineas, 5 Queen Elizabeth Stakes, 5 Lightnings, 5 McKinnons, 4 Caulfield Cups, 4 Caulfield Stakes, 4 Australasian Oaks, 3 Melbourne Cups, 3 Newmarkets, 2 Cox Plate, 2 Caulfield Guineas, 1 Golden Slipper, and 1 Blue Diamond. So that's a fair dinkum honour roll. But there's one thing that not many people would know, and I don't reckon it's been said in many outlets. The derbies he has won are Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, WA, South Australia, and New Zealand derbies. I'd love to see if anyone's come to even closer to doing that.
It's amazing. Around the country, then over the ditch.
Yeah, hasn't won a Tassie derby, so I think he might be wanting to tick that off the list, maybe. But nah.
He could do that in retirement.
Yeah, he's definitely getting older, and it's getting past him a little bit now. But geez, that's probably one of the best honour rolls we'll see until J-Mac retires.
Absolutely, and the best thing about Ollie was heading out to Flemington when there was 120,000 people, and didn't matter how your day was going, you'd always back Ollie in the last derby day, and he would get you out of the hole.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, mate. There's so many things you talk about. I think the one I heard yesterday or today was the one where he went toe-to-toe with J-Mac over the Spring Carnival. Superstorm won the big Group 1. And, yeah, they were just going toe-to-toe, winning Group 1s that 4-day carnival. And I think that's just shows how good he was.
Absolutely, yep. Best I've seen from a Melbourne jockey point of view, period.
Yeah, 100%. And so hopefully he rides another Group 1. It'd be great to be there. Hopefully he hasn't got a ride in this one. Oh, damn. I was going to cheer him on. It would have been good to go out there and see it, but it won't. He obviously finishes up in December, but interesting, he's already signed with Ladbrokes and RSN. So good get for Ladbrokes, good for RSN. Obviously, we know what he's going to do, but Matty, I'm going to say to you, have racing.com missed the boat here?
Racing.com, mate, they've got Simon Marshall. What would they need Ollie?
Simon just reads odds, mate, and he's B grade comedy. I don't know. Is every sport out there has expert commentators that have played the game and all that? Where I don't know, racing.com are just more about the tipsters. Fair enough, they're good. I'm not saying they're shit in any way, but I just want to hear from a jockey dissecting races. Yes, they had Mickey Walker on last spring and Dwayne Dunn. They're great to listen to because they're not scared to say anything and, hey, that was a crap ride. And just hearing how they think about races, I think adds a lot more value than Hutchie's top 4.
Look, you're probably right. There isn't a whole lot of insightfulness that comes from these guys other than their analysis of the race. So look, it is something interesting. I do wonder why they haven't gone down that path. It's the high pitched voice may just not come across very well.
Well, even like Sky Racing, they've got Corey Brown who does picks from the yard. Like, what the fuck? Shouldn't he be dissecting races? Instead, they've got the RSL bus of Ron Dufficy and the other host who's over 70. Like, fuck me. the industry's just fucked in how they want to run the show and think it's a good show, but I don't know. I might be wrong, and people out there, let me know your thoughts, how you want to see races presented and seen and dissected, but I don't want to hear from Hutchie and his pocket talking about the races. I'd love to hear Ollie straight after the race. Hey, this is what happened. This is why the favourite didn't win. The ride, or was it just not good enough? You know,
That's all right. We can put racing.com on mute and turn RSN on and have Ollie provide the insights post race and pre-race.
Well, hopefully the Ladbrokes team buy out racing.com and we might get Ollie on our screen.
Oh, interesting. I can see where you're going.
Yes, so stay tuned, punters. Just keep betting with Ladbrokes so they can make more money and they can up the ante to buy it. Future tickets, Matty.
Yes.
Let us know. Cox Plate.
Cox Plate.
Any betting?
So, summary, still only one ticket on Lindemann at $80. Had $12.50 on that to win a cool 1,000. So, only ticket we've got so far. Now, last week we went through the internationals. We mentioned Paddington. Paddington is officially out of the Cox Plate, will not be coming. So it'd be interesting to see how those internationals go. But Worm, I just wanted to run through a few of these 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
More so the fact that a lot of these are racing either over the weekend, last weekend, or next weekend. I know one Saltcoats, a Chris Waller horse that's running in the last this weekend, currently $100. Now, generally speaking, what path do these 3-year-olds take to a Cox Plate?
Yeah, the only path they take is the Caulfield or 1,000 Guineas, but the 1,000 Guineas doesn't sit where it does anymore, so they'll be Caulfield Guineas.
Only one race that they will take to get from or into the Cox Plate. No? Yep. You got another one?
Maybe, I'm trying to, the Spring Champion, 2,000 metres?
Oh, potentially. Yeah. I don't think we've ever seen one come from the Spring Champion.
No, I don't think so either.
So, this year could be a first. However, Saltcoats, what is it currently for the Guineas?
$51.
Okay. So, if it wins on the weekend, what do you think it starts in the Guineas?
Oh, it'll be 15s on Sunday, Saturday, 6 p.m.
You reckon you'll get hundreds for Cox Plate?
No, you'll be getting 50s, maybe.
I reckon you'd probably get 26s.
Okay.
It'll get dialed right in.
Yeah.
A few others that are running or have been running. Legacies running at Caulfield on the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. That running the Caulfield Guineas?
Yeah, it should be $26. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Again, $100 for the Cox. Now, again, not all these horses will run, but you'll generally find the horses that run well in the Guineas, one or two of them will get nominated for will put forward for the Cox Plate. Stapati.
Yep, it's $16 for the Caulfield Guineas.
Okay, and Militarise.
Favorite.
Okay.
$4.50.
Yep. And Militarise currently 26s. So I think main point here is a lot of these horses, they need to progress into the Caulfield Guineas, and you need to see them winning a race or two before the Caulfield Guineas. So I wouldn't be surprised if a few of these come out, win over the weekend, and you do see their odds tumble. So again, if you do want a few of these future tickets at triple figure odds, and I'm sure if you jump onto Betfair, you could even get better than hundreds. Now's the time to do it, because if they do win a race over the weekend, you won't be getting triple figures. Similar to something like Militarise, you'll be getting 26s.
Yep.
So I won't go through anything else. I think we'll see how a few of these horses run over the weekend. Obviously, we've got Alligator Blood, Mr. Brightside. I've got those two locked in for the Cox Plate, as well as Zaki and Romantic Warrior. Outside of that, the one I did want to ask you about, we saw an unbelievable trial throughout the week on Globe.
Yeah.
How do you rate this horse?
Yeah, so we spoke about this horse in the winter.
Yep.
And we didn't know how, winning by 7 lengths, how the form would stack up, and it was. So that gave us a bit of, well, okay, this horse might be okay. Now I saw the first jump out and was like, yep, it's come back okay. I want to see it first up. It was meant to run at Moonee Valley last Saturday to get a feel for the track, but didn't. And then came out on Monday with a jump out and one like Winks. Yeah, it blew me away.
So, Worm, can I say, last week when we did this podcast,
yeah,
Globe was paying $51
yeah,
on tab. Globe is now into 15s.
Oh my God. I just really hope no one's dived into that. Fair enough, 51s is a fair income, big price, but it's still only like a benchmark 80 horse, so it's got to win some races to get in.
It does. It definitely does. You are the first one that I've heard mention Winks in the same sentence as Globe after that trial.
It might get in with its X factor if it runs well in its prep runs, and they do want to see that sort of horse. He will be the leader, so they love a pacemaker, the community. So, I don't know. I'm so glad of what we saw in winter is now we're going to see it in the spring, and I just don't know where we put this horse. It's so confusing because
you don't usually get that correlation between winter form into spring. It
no.
very, very rarely happens that winter preparation generates winners throughout the spring. So I'm keen to see where the Price Kent stable actually send it and how this preparation progresses. We know that it's on its way to a Cox Plate if it does increase its rating.
Yeah, I'd love to know where they're going first up. I thought maybe this Saturday might have been a good pick-off just to 1,400, see where it's at, but maybe they don't want to expose it too early to the good horses and then it just folds. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the trainer or the owners.
Yeah, look, I would imagine they'll probably, you might have a bit of an easy kill to start with. Again, increase a couple of rating points. And then from there, I'm sure they've got a couple of dedicated races in mind prior to a Cox Plate.
Yeah, if it just goes through the grades undefeated, it's definitely gaining a start in a Cox Plate as the X Factor horse.
Definitely an interesting one. So I guess no bets this week, but we'll definitely keep an eye on the 3-year-olds for this weekend. And it'll probably be across the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'll probably say 2 weeks that we're going to start hearing about a few more of these internationals, and we'll start drawing a line through a few of them, and this field will start to take place.
Yeah, 100%. And 3-year-olds, we don't really find out until they hit that big group ones. So you can't really be specking anything unless you know something.
No, that's right. But yeah, interesting that a few of these 3-year-olds running over these 1,200 metre races nominated for a Cox Plate over 2,000 metres.
Yeah, 100%. Add to your spring champion to Cox Plate. I found one horse that won a spring champion and ran in a Cox Plate. That was Yankee Rose.
Okay.
In 2016.
Yep, I remember that. All right, so 2 paths they can take.
Yeah, but it's not traditional. So we can be safe there. My futures ticket Caulfield Cup. I haven't got much to say because nothing's really ran yet or had a second up run. So I'm not going to be like these globe punters and dive into a jump out or a trial and hang my money on that. I'm just going to keep it as it is. I did see a jump out of Luna Flare and I was very, very happy. I think it's still 110s on Betfair. Corporate's still 26s. I suggest you get on Betfair and have something on it because the jump out was good enough to be backing in this at 110s. And yeah, that's the only thing I want to talk about. And we'll just hopefully next week we get to see something or like a non-conformance in the Group 1 this Saturday runs out of its skin and we can maybe have a little look at that.
No, I think that's a good way to assess it, considering you've already had almost half of your pot.
It's over half of my pot.
Uh, Over half of your pot.
Yeah, I've got 70 in the pot already.
Wow.
I just get a bit excited at good odds. Oh shit.
Good.
All right, track stats. The all important track stats, punters. Caulfield Rail True. Little bit of rain around Wednesday to Friday. Nothing to be threatening about. I'm working on a good track, looking for horses up on speed. I'm just wary about this inside. It's not going to be obviously that spring good for. It's still going to be a bit of moisture on top. It's still going to be a softer route. So they might edge off on the inside. If they don't, good. We just look for horses up on speed and just load up. Randwick Rail, 4 meters, soft now, but they reckon it'll be a good track come Saturday. So I wonder with this rail position, will it favour horses up on speed, this 4 meter rail? Probably. It'd be interesting, but definitely watch and act. When the rail's true Randwick, it's always lanes 4 to 7 are the places to be. So no one's really spoken about it being leaderish. So if we can get the edge on being leaders, we'll be filling our pockets up. Matty, race 5, Randwick, listed race, 2,400 meters. You want to preview?
I do, mate. I do. It's an interesting race, and you questioned me straight off the bat. Why are you previewing this race, mate? I think there's a few in here that you'll find will keep going throughout the spring, and that's why I wanted to take a bit of a look at this. So, just before you do the odds, I think just from a speed perspective, you can expect horses like Desert Icon, Military Mission, plus also Serpentine. They're the ones that I expect to be pushing forward, but there's not going to be an excessive amount of speed in this race. So, if you've got the odds there for us.
I do, mate. I was just looking at the speed map and favorite here is Verona, $4 to 460. Bit of variance here between the corps here. Mostly cloudy. Sounds like a Jane Bunn little reference here. $5.50. Serpentine $6. Military Mission $6. Kirby $7, and you can have $10 the rest plus.
Perfect, thank you, mate. Look, I thought there was going to be a bit of value to discuss in this when I assessed it last night. With the scratching of Hosier, we have had some deductions, and I think the market has probably taken shape as I've assessed the race. Worm, the 4 that I want to be looking at within this race are Serpentine, Military Mission, Verona. I think it's an interesting horse, and Kirkby. So we might just start with Kirkby. So Kirkby gets a huge amount of weight relief here, Worm. It was running around when it got done by Verona at 61 kilos. It's down to 53 kilos with Kathy O'Hara on board. That's an enormous weight relief for any horse. Now, Verona was unbelievable and gave it windburn pretty much as it went past at last start. It was exceptionally impressive. But I do believe that Kirkby, really good draw, barrier number 8, will just get the sit wherever Kathy wants to put it. And around the corner, we know that it'll be able to run this 2,400 metres. So Kirkby for mine, right down at the bottom of the weights. I think it's one that you do need to take into consideration. It is still in the market at that $7. I don't necessarily know if they're going to go hard for this, so you could potentially wait if you like Kirkby. I expect it to be kind of in the top 4, so it could even be a bit of a 1x4 play. We did mention Verona. Now, it was a huge, huge win over the 2,400 metres on the 5th of August, and it's been kept fresh. So it hasn't raced for, almost 4 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how it measures up against this lot. I don't necessarily have it rated as strongly as a couple in this race, which we'll mention. And I think the 420, you mentioned out to 460. I think up towards $5 is potentially where this horse could start. I don't necessarily know if it's got the numbers that the big corporates or the big bookies will come after it within that last 5 minutes before jump time. I don't think they'll come after this horse. Military Mission. Now, Military Mission, as I mentioned, I think this is a horse that does go forward. And It'll probably be sitting in the first four, could even be sitting in the first three, going around the final bend. Just behind Hosier last start. Hosier has obviously been scratched from this race. The extra 400 will be a huge benefit. So Military Mission, one of Gay's horses within this, I think will be right around the mark and has got a perfect barrier to jump out. I think it'll just hit on the outside of Desert Icon, maybe one back, and it'll get a beautiful run. So Military Mission, again, it's in the market around about that 6,650 mark. Well, what I have landed on, though, is the other Gay Waterhouse horse, Serpentine. Now, Serpentine won fresh when it started for Gay for the first time. Last start over 2,200 metres. It was a much smaller field. Go back and have a look at it. Led all the way. And I think it'll be going forward here as well, Worm. It might just have to sit out on the outside of Desert Icon. But this listed level racing is where I think this horse is suited. Group racing, it might progress to that further into its preparation, but right now, listed level racing is where I see this horse. The wide gate, it means that Regan Bayliss is going to need to make a call early, how attacking he's going to be and how much he wants to lead the race. But Worm, this horse will be in this race up until the last 100 metres. It is an absolute war horse, and the 2,400 metres, it will absolutely love. So Worm, Serpentine on top, around about that 650 mark at the moment. How did you see this one?
Yeah, Verona, like Jesus, what a win that was last start.
Huge.
I know it steps up from benchmark 78 to listed. It's a tough ask. It's going to be last in a bigger field. It was a smaller field when it pissed in. Obviously, I think this horse has been wanting 2,400, looking through its form. It won a pack of plate at 2,000 April last year. So I think if you like it, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I'm not going to take it on.
No.
But, yeah, good point with Kirkby. Definitely big weight advantage, and I think the price isn't really reflecting that. Interesting. Serpentine first up. 2,400 metres, not going to be first up, but running Eagle Farm, they would have been ticking this over.
100%.
I did hear on the grapevine that someone asked Gay Waterhouse, what's your best hope for the Melbourne Cup?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone expected Goldman to be it, and she said Serpentine.
What?
And people have just like, Gay, you've got Goldman. She goes, yeah, I know. Now, she's not one to lie, I don't think. She's very confident in her stuff, and I don't mind listening to her if I like horses of hers. I was blown away, and if it brings its Brisbane form, it's a genuine chance.
In this race or Melbourne Cup?
No, this race, not Melbourne Cup.
No, I completely agree. I think that Brisbane form was exceptional, and the way it held on, even when it did get beat by a nose, I think it was second or third up in Brisbane. It was very, very solid, and I think Regan. It'll be interesting to see how he does ride it, but if he gets this into a spot, and I'm not expecting too much pace in this race, if he gets it into a spot, turns it off, I think it's going to be exceptionally hard to get past.
Yeah, you're right, because most of the horses here are back markers.
Mm.
Or they've just absolutely cooked. So yeah, no, I can't add any more, mate. It's a good bet to be having it around that $7-6 mark.
All right, I'll just look up what Serpentine is for the Melbourne Cup.
I will remind you where it ran last year's Melbourne Cup. It was beaten 99 lengths. So just put that into perspective.
Gay told me.
No, I won't. I was going to say, if it wins a Melbourne Cup, I'll fucking run around nude in the MCG, but I won't. No, very good. Nice value there. Memsie Stakes, I'm going to preview this. I just think, as I said at the top of the show, I think this is a race we need to talk about. There's so many angles. There's from speed maps to where they are at prep. So Bear with me, punters. It's a deep dive, this one, but I think we can have one. And we will go through them. The odds here, interesting. Favorite, Mr. Brightside, $3. Wish I Win. Got the blows here. Opened up $3, out to $4.40 already on some markets. Alligator Blood, $6.50. Princess Grace, $8. Ozopenko, $10. Amavisto, $12. And then you can have 23 the rest. Speed map here. Oh, it took me a while to get this one because there's so many angles of where they could land, where they should land, where they might not land, just due to the barriers. So I do know Anavisto from 4 will lead this at any cost, handlebars down if they have to. I feel Alligator Blood will shoot across and sit outside the leader because that's the only option from barrier 13. Bandersnatch might make Alligator Blood work from the outside to get to the leader spot from barrier 10 because he likes to lead as well, but he might just, play those little games. Princess Grace, barrier 3, I think they hunt up and sit behind the leaders, considering Ozopenko is still a horse here and he has barrier 2. I feel that they use it and they will try and hold the rail. Now, Mr. Brightside, what do they do from 14 here? Do they use alligator blood to get across and possibly sit in the 3 wide, no cover position? Most probably. But it wouldn't shock me if they go back. Second up, had a gut buster, not its grand final. I Wish I Win. Probably, will it miss the kick? I don't think so, because the starts I've seen with this horse, it doesn't miss the kick. It jumps with them. They've just elected to go back. From barrier 1, I think they sit midfield. Might be seeing a lot of backsides. Might see the C's apart. I don't know. Interesting. What a race. Bloody excited. The horse I'm landing here on is at $4. I Wish I Win. I think it now becomes a bet with the drift. I think it's just drifting because of the map potentially, and they probably think it's going to sit near last, but I don't think they will. I know barrier 1's going to be quite scary to watch, but if it gets a gap, this horse has the best turn of foot. All it needs to do, in my opinion, is to follow Ozopenko, who should find the rail and behind the leaders. And it should take him a long way into the race. Won a Golden Eagle, won a TJ Smith. Considering that, you shouldn't be getting $4 for a horse like this. I just keep hearing that this is the only run, then straight into the Everest. So if that is true, this horse must be rocking and rolling for this, and they just have a little break going into the Everest. That is how I see it. That's how I'm going to play it. Definitely the roughier of the race here, a 0.25 by 0.75 of a bet on Agon. We know the pace will be on, and it might give the backmarkers a little chance to make ground here. Go and watch Agon's last start, the best 1,000 to 200 of the race home. Unbelievable. I thought it was a huge run. And why are we getting $31 from a barrier? We know we'll go back, might get a bum to follow. Yes, could be spotting them 12 lengths, but I have to have something on this horse at a price because it was an absolute hidden run that last start. If it's only spotting them 8 lengths, I think it can definitely run a drum. So I know we're going to be back. We're going to be wide, but I just loved what it did first up at Caulfield against Mr. Brightside. Ozopenko, as I said, still a horse with a low draw. It could be this horse's grand final to send it off to stud at the end of this season to try and claim a Group 1 victory. I'm very wary of this horse, and I think they might have spec'd this horse late. Mr. Brightside, I'm not going to take it on. You're getting a good price considering how well it went last start, and it's $3. I feel if you dived into 220 last start, you must go again. It's the same map. It's probably going to be the same outcome, probably against a few more better horses, but Willow finds a good spot. He's a great jockey. You've got to take the $3 if you took the 220 last start. Alligator Blood. I'm worried how much work it's going to do, as I said in the speed map from 14. Tricky start at the 1400, uphill, sharp turn as they gates open after 100 meters. I know he's a war horse and he's going to eat up that sort of stuff. I wasn't impressed by the trial like some people were. Time was okay, but it smashed a bunch of 2,400 meter horses. So what do you read into that? I know every time I find a negative for this horse, it wins. And I know every time I back this horse, it loses. So it's an enemy of mine, and so is the fucking owner. And a Vista. I know a lot of people might be with this. Looks a setup to try and win a Group 1, put it to the broodmare sales, get a big, big figure on it. But I know this horse runs well fresh, but I'm going to be taking this horse on. I wasn't happy with its most recent jump out against Non-Conformance and Lunar Flare. I thought they went better than this horse in the same jump out. So I can't be with Anavisto, even though he's going to find the perfect spot. Maddie, any thoughts?
I just want to get your thoughts firstly on Western Empire, please.
He can get fucked at 150 to 1.
Thank you. Princess Grace. Now, I tipped the community into this a couple of weeks ago in the Wig Stakes and unfortunately just got pipped by Fangirl. Worm, I just wanted to let you know that this horse across from America ran every race over there, the Melbourne direction.
Yep.
Huge advantage now coming down to Melbourne and running the Melbourne way. From barrier number 3, I'm a little bit disappointed that it finished second because we're not going to get the same price as we would have if it didn't finish second in the Wing Stakes. So a little bit disappointed that we're only getting 8s. It may drift a little bit, but I think a lot of punters will actually, once they watch the replay of the Wing Stakes, they might come into this. So I think it'll be rather solid around about that $8 mark. Outside of that, you mentioned Brightside, I Wish I Win, Alligator Blood. You can't look too much further than that. The only other one that I don't mind within the field and I think can run a huge race is Osipenko. For the reasons that you mentioned. It was huge in the Wing Stakes as well. And I think second up, 3 starts second up, a first, a second, and a third. So I'm expecting Osipenko to be around the money here as well. So Worm, they're the only ones I can make a case for. Brightside, Wish I Win, Alligator Blood, and I'm probably not leaning towards Alligator Blood. To your point, now that I'm not doing that, it's probably going to win, as it usually does. So Brightside, Wish I Win, Osipenko, and Princess Grace would be my top 4.
Yeah, Osipenko, I know he in the form guide it reads it ran on and you only got beaten under a length or just on a length. Just go and watch its run. It just kept grinding to the line. And it was a good run. I'm not going to knock it at one iota, but I think if it's going to win this race, it's got to sit behind the leaders because it just grinds away. And it being on pace, it's its only chance. If it goes back to near last or worse than midfield,
no chance.
No chance. It just doesn't have that turn of foot like a Wish I Win does.
No.
But yeah, just don't get sucked in. Oh, it ran on. It's going to do the same thing. It won't. It can't. It needs to be camping behind the leaders to be any chance. And I genuinely think it's a good chance. I think it's the old fashioned setup. Win the Group 1, and it's off to stud duties at the end of the year.
Yep, absolutely. Again, another one nominated for a Cox Plate. It's looking for 2,000 metres. So it'll have its couple of runs at 1,400, up to 16, potentially up to 18 and 2,000. So it's just going through its races at the moment. But to your point, Worm, I think they're definitely after a G1 next to its name.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm with Wish I Win and Aegon to wrap it up. Around the grounds, Matty, where are you heading?
Mate, we're going to be heading up to Sydney, race number 3. We've got a bit of value here for you. I'll just run through the chances I found in here. Wave Rider Boy, as this community knows exceptionally well. 2, 2, 2, 1, 2 has been its last 5 starts, and I think we've found every single one of those 2s. But it does map exceptionally well from barrier number 8. J-Mac on board, every chance here. Marbell, I think, has got a chance in this race, as well as OJ. And look, Dancing Alone is going to be the really interesting one. Stepping up the city grade here, but it has built the picket fences over its career so far with Nash on board. So the one I landed on for around the grounds is actually Marbell at $34. Well, I think this is horse that goes exceptionally well first up. what I liked about it was it's midway races earlier on this year. Now, I know I don't rate midway or bet into them, midway or highway races, but its form within these races was quite good, and it'll be a horse that does get back. So, in this race, I'm expecting them to be a little bit of pace on. So, a chance for these horses to run on. We know Wave Rider Boy will be similar as well. But at $34, this is the horse that I think is a blowout chance, and I think it's a really good chance for a place here. So, it could be a nice 1x4 play at $34, around $7, $8 for the place. I'm going to jump to race number 8. Horse we've mentioned as part of the Cox Plate preview, Lindemann. Second up, huge tick. Better ground, it will be a good 4, huge tick. Much better draw, huge tick. And this is a weight for age horse, huge tick. Its Cox Plate campaign starts here. If you want the 50s, we got it at 80s. We mentioned that about 3-4 weeks ago. But if you want the 50s, I'd be taking it now because I don't think you get the 50s after this weekend, Worm. That's it for me for around the ground.
Just to talk about this race, the Chelmsford.
Yes.
Geez, I can't be diving in to think it over at $3 just due to its second up and coming off a lengthy injury. I hope I'm wrong and it wins and it heads towards a Cox Plate because I know you've got an opinion of it, Matty, and I think you're waiting for it to win something to pull the trigger. But yeah, Nash said he got knocked at a key stage. Geez, I watched the race a few times and I don't know, maybe he's just making a few excuses from a poor ride, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, the horse's rating is through the roof in this race. And it's only carrying 59 kilos versus a horse that's got a similar weight and rated 95. Its rating's 120.
Yeah.
So I think if it does get any win, it doesn't even need to get to its best to be a huge chance in this.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think outside of Think It Over, there's a whole lot of depth within the race.
Yeah.
I think something like Montefilia, I don't necessarily know if it's a weight for age horse. I think I prefer it to be in the handicappers. I know I liked it in the Melbourne Cup last year, and I did say at the time it may be suited to the Melbourne Cup more so next year. I think it'd be a perfect Caulfield Cup horse this year, Montefilia. Duas, haven't seen much from it. Hinged is an interesting one. Outside of that, there's you got kind of Knight's Order, which will be, I don't know, going forward. Needs it wet. Bold Mac, just consistent, but this is a bit of a step up for it. And Moonga. So, look, I think you've got a couple in there that need to prove something. And I know Lindemann didn't do too much in the Wink Stakes, which didn't really surprise me. As I said, I think the better ground is going to be a huge benefit for it. Weight for age conditions, I think, is going to be a huge benefit for it as well.
Yeah. It's a good race. I'd be interested to see what they do. Who Yamal, who was in the market for the Melbourne Cup returns, reports out it's on an Epsom path. So yeah, and Mwanga, well, I'm wanting to see it in a Caulfield Cup, but I don't think we will.
It'll head towards the Cox again.
Yeah, unfortunately. Around the grounds for me, Randwick, race 7, number 1. The new kid on the block, Nature Strip. I think he's gone to a new level. I've got to be with this old boy. I've loved his 2 trials. I don't think he's dropped off to where they think he's dropped off to. Yes, he was disappointing in a Lightning. And in the TJ, he looked the winner at the 200 meter mark, remember? So he was only second up on that. And that campaign was quite rushed because it was Ascot, spring, autumn. So he didn't have a break. He's had a good break. And as a 9-year-old, you probably want that break just to get through it and all that sort of stuff. If the horse wasn't going well enough, Waller and owners would pull the pin straight away. So I don't mind. You can take, I don't mind the Barry. It'll come across and probably sit outside leader of Eduardo, but at $3.30, I want to back the old boy and give him a good old cheer with a stubby in my hand and cheer him like he's a 2-year-old, and I've found him and no one else has. So, love him to bits, and I've got to be with him. I think his jump outs are good enough to be backing him in a very interesting race. Morville race 6, number 4, Sweetened. Love this horse. Two starts ago, second, top 5 sectionals of the meeting, and then next start, best of the meeting. Only needs to hold that form, and it wins. They entered this horse from the Moonee Valley last week in a very hard race. The listed 1,000 metres that I previewed scratched it, I think, due to the barrier. So the trainer must have a good opinion of this horse. Remember, this horse was previously trained by Hayes' team, and the owners sold it at the broodmare sale. So it wasn't moved on by the trainer. It was sold because it was a mare. It had a very good start to its career. They aimed high with this horse. It's $2.50 in a very weak race. I think it wins race 6, number 4, Sweetened. Matty, I'm going to throw in I Wish I Win the place and Nature Strip the place. You're throwing in?
Serpentine the place and Lindemann the place.
Wow, comes to $20.
Juicy.
Yeah, very juicy. That'll be interesting going into the last with the Wish I Win. We could be having a fair income yell. So that $20. Pineapple. Matty, you've passed it on. So I think this is an easy bet to have. Didn't take me long to decide which way we were going with this one. It is Caulfield race 8, number 6, Asphora. I love this horse's jump out at stall. It looked beautiful. Looked to come back better. This horse was first up last prep in the Oakley Plate. Held itself very well. 4th in the Galaxy, then 4th in the Quokka in Perth. Wasn't beaten further than 1.6 last prep. Barrier 3. All Mitchell Aiken needs to do is sit and steer and don't go close to that rail and get boxed in. When straightening, you can just get out, peel out. You just say whooshka, and at $3.30 price for a horse that probably wins a Group 1 this spring. That is race 8, number 6, Asphora.
Like it.
Anything else to add, Matty?
Well, weekend off from the footy, so we might just mention the footy next Thursday night before the Friday night game. So that's okay. We can do that next weekend. Mate, outside of that, no. Looking forward to getting to the track, having a beer with yourself, and watching the pineapple salute.
Yes, it could get quite ugly if it's a strip out, or it could get very loud if it's an absolute fill up. But that's the exciting times.
I'm glad the pineapple is in the quaddy as well, because we will all be going one out.
I might be going home after race 8 because I'll be fucking dead. But it's it's good racing. Can't wait. I've only just dived into a few races, and Jesus. Be interesting to see how many bets we land on for Saturday, because I think it's a learning day, but there's races you can bet up into.
Worm, I'll give you a tip. There's 10 races at Caulfield.
Yep.
And there's 10 races in Sydney.
Yep.
So there's at least 20 bets.
Yep. Yep. Look, I won't be going crazy like I do when you've got form well in and all the horses are well into a prep, but there's a few races where you just want to, you'll have a bet, but you won't be going silly. You just want to have a look and see if they've come back, second up blues, all that sort of stuff.
No, I know what you mean. But the good part is there are a few that we can bet into in both Melbourne and Sydney, which I'm looking forward to.
100%. If you bet wisely and smart, you can make money. If you try and betting into every race, you're definitely not going to win every week. But that's just my thoughts. Is that all for you, Matty?
Signed off.
Beautiful. Enjoy women's AFL inaugural start to the year again. It'll be great viewing, 32-12 score lines. But hopefully everyone has a great weekend. If you are out in the track, please reach out. Come and have a beer with us. More importantly, give me shit when Asphora loses by a nose. That'll be great. But thank you for all watching, listening. And please make sure you have a fill up, and please rate and subscribe. Oh.
goes to show that good things do happen to bad people. So anyone out there who's up against the wall, fucking stick to it. Every cent you got, your rent, your electricity bill, if you're going to buy your missus